Hi, everyone. Okay, perfect. Thank you for joining us. I know it's day one, it's 3 o'clock, everyone's in the mid-afternoon slump. You've probably either been here or you've walked 500 miles across the entire conference center to get here, so thank you. Today we'll talk about a few growth strategies that we've learned in partnership as an agency and as a brand. And so I'll let Katrina introduce herself first.
Hi, everybody. I'm Katrina. I'm the head of paid media at SoundCloud. I work across all the verticals and the paid media channels. We have a lot of more information to get through, so we'll jump into it. So SoundCloud has been around since 2007. And as of today, we're probably in our best financial spot ever. We've hit profitability for a full fiscal year beginning in 2023 and have continued to do so. And overall, we have now 400 million tracks, which are full of remixes, DJ sets, and then also like record label music from like the Sonys, Universals, all of that of the world. We call that Category 1 music. And it's uploaded by over 40 million artists.
Cool. And hi, I'm John. I've been with M&C Saatchi Performance for 8 years now. Been in the overall growth space for much longer than that. As an agency, we really focus on mobile acquisition, overall user acquisition, and retention, of course. But our heritage has been in the mobile space, so super excited to come back to MAU. And yeah, we work with partners like SoundCloud and others to really grow their business, help them, and really get like in the weeds, in the trenches together as true partners. So big thank you to Katrina for joining me today.
Yeah, in the trenches is right.
Cool. So let's get into the fun stuff. So today, our title for today is three different growth strategies. So we'll talk through what it means for SoundCloud to be a dual marketplace, unique challenges there, attribution, fun conversation. We could obviously spend 5 hours at least talking about that, but we'll go at a high level and really focus on what that means on the iOS side, and then overall testing and learning has been obviously a main focus for us over the past 4 to 5 years we've been working together.
So to start, like a little bit more about SoundCloud. So as we mentioned, we have over 400 million tracks of probably the biggest catalog of music on any other platform. We have around 100 million monthly active users across artists and fans. So this really jumps straight into the dual marketplace. So we have two main products. It's firstly the artist side. That subscription is at a higher price point. That's about 100 in most markets. That's available everywhere. The best selling propositions for an artist to sign up at SoundCloud is that they have unlimited uploads, distribution, they get fan-powered royalties. And really what that all means is that like right now in the music industry, you have your Spotifys, you have your record labels who do own Spotify. You have your platforms like SoundCloud, YouTube, Bandcamp, things like that. And now we're probably the only platform that allows user-generated content at the same time that there's social discovery features. There's also distribution features. So like if you're an artist, a bedroom creator, so you would say you're just making beats all day, you upload all of that onto your SoundCloud, sort of like a diary. And it's really common for people to then send that to their managers, A&R teams, or go back to that like months later and start making a DJ set. So it's a very niche use case. And we're also seeing that like a lot of times these artist users find their own patterns in how they use the product. So they can like DM one another, collaborate, and even master their tracks. We also now in this year are offering a lot of like fan monetization. So if you know someone that has like a growing brand that's an artist and they want to do merch, we now have capabilities to let them just design merch. We'll house that on our store. They keep all of the profits. We distribute for them. We also do that with like records, vinyl records, which a lot of DJs use to spin. We also have integrations with like Ticketmaster. So if you're a DJ with like a concert coming up, they can go to your profile and buy tickets straight there. So really like this artist side takes up about most of our paid media budget. It keeps most of its revenue and it is the like unique selling product. However, it's a dual marketplace because an artist is nothing without their fans and listeners. So on the other end of SoundCloud, that is a lot more app based is the listener side. So when you're listening to music, a DJ set, or even like Sabrina Carpenter or whoever, you're going to be using your mobile phone. The web and the mobile side, are not fully integrated because the products are quite different. Like when you're an artist, you're using web, right? On the fan side, you're going to be using the streaming app. On the streaming side, we offer like a listen ad-free subscription that starts at $4.99, which is the lowest price of any streaming subscription for music out there at the moment. And we also compete with Spotify and YouTube and all of that on that end for people to come to a platform and listen to music that's widely available elsewhere. So there's a lot going on. And ultimately, though, for 2025, a lot of times in this dual marketplace, you have to learn that like your strategies will change year over year depending on whatever need it is, right? So in 2023, we really looked into that artist subscription to figure out what features will make us the one place that if you're just making music, you will just have a subscription there. On the fan side, we're still figuring it out. We know too, we're never gonna be like the Netflix. We might be your Paramount Plus that you download to watch a specific show, right? It's very specific in that way. And so this year, we're really focused on mobile attribution and MAU, and Sachi has really helped us execute all of our paid media there.
Thank you for the tee up. So as Katrina was mentioning, especially on the fan side, when you're downloading the app, listening, we need to understand on a day-to-day basis, obviously, as probably everyone in this room agrees, we need to know what's working, what's not. And so we'll talk for a second a little bit about the iOS side. Google is still pretty relatively straightforward, whereas iOS between Scan, between SCAD, between now AA, they've gone through, to stick with the music theme, they've gone through more eras than Taylor Swift has in terms of just how to name it, what's happening. So for Scan 4.0, or I guess now AAK or AAT, so what we did over the last year was really go through all of the different user stages throughout the funnel and map them low to high. That's where we go, this screenshot gives a couple of examples, but we go into detail on the different events that we would map and optimize toward and report on. So, the more intro level, like a first open, then a first listen, then a subscription. That's helped us be able to further optimize all of the media toward what we actually, at the end of the day, care about. Excuse me. So, on to the next one. Oh, thank you. Cool. So this goes into all of the different ways in which, as an agency as well as the brand, we work together to figure out how to optimize what we're trying to do on a day-to-day basis, look at our goals for the next 30 days, the next fiscal year, etc. So what Katrina will talk to in a little bit in the testing and learning phase is around things like understanding across the full organization. So I think a unique perspective from the agency side is we see our marketing lead, like Katrina, and she has her own goals. She's focused on MAU, she's focused on ROAS, etc. But then, of course, there's an entire organization. And so, as you were starting to say before about how disparate and just massive the overall fan artist side is, there are all of these teams, all of these other priorities that everyone needs to wrangle, and I mean that's a massive job. So kudos. So that's kind of a big piece that we've been able to unlock in partnership. So us kind of like being in the trenches, in the platforms, optimizing, reporting, and figuring out how we're going to drive growth for the brand. And then Katrina's trying to bring all of the relevant parties together and be able to tell the story through kind of the scan measurement that we were talking about on the previous side of what's working and what's not, and where we're going to really deep dive into in the future, which brings us to testing.
Okay, so before we even get into this topic of testing, I can plainly say like about 90% of all of the visitors to SoundCloud are coming organically. Paid media really only takes about 10%, and that's a struggle you face a lot with these like brands that have been around for like 18 years. While the teams change, the agency will stay, but you get new leads, you get new products, and you get new priorities a lot, right? And so when I started at SoundCloud only about like 2 years ago, one of the biggest things was that making a relationship with Sachi and John, in which like we don't really know what's there, but let's just test it all. Let's try to figure out what people even think about SoundCloud. There are a lot of things that come up when I meet someone and I tell them I work there. It's like, do you party all the time? Or like, do you just talk about music all the time? Or is it just market research? So there's a lot of testing involved. And through running our campaigns, like I'll be honest to say that it had been very difficult to get subscriptions on the fan side, partially because of the product and partially just because of the nature of the market when it comes to attribution, right? Like it's, when you think about music, the first thing we thought about was to advertise artists and playlists and whatnot on social. But as you know, it's not so easy. When you push someone an ad, you have to make it relevant. You have to also give them a reason to care while they're doom scrolling and seeing the 200th TikTok that you've seen. And we will test creative that's good, that's bad. We'll get good results. Sometimes we'll get cost pers over like $800 for a subscription that's $5, right? And it makes you think, what's going on? And so with that, we've experimented like going from targeting creative, like every time we do a campaign, to John and John's team's detriment almost, I go down this list where I'm like, okay, this looks bad, why? And I look through all of it, and sometimes I'll pull the report myself just to see what's going on. Over time too, we started to see in like, for SoundCloud, if I were to advertise a playlist, people don't care. Let's say, you can imagine it yourself. You're on an Instagram feed, right? You see your friends, you see some meme, something from a news article, and then you see, listen, ad free. Like, no one's gonna care. Or even just like a playlist that's like, listen to this Russian rap scene that's happening right now. And over time, as our campaigns have gone on, we started to build them out to get insights on like the comments, how people are responding, and what's happening organically. So through that, right, we started to build this tastemaker flywheel. So we all sat together as an org within SoundCloud where we're like, what is the real reason why someone would come? Is it a DJ set? Is it a remix that's not available on Spotify? What is it? We know very well it is a lot of that content. However, we're not privy to advertising that because it's owned by the record labels. So they'll come for royalties on these remixes, on the 400 million tracks that we have. As a business, you can't do that, right? And so as a whole, we started to think, where do people listen to the DJ sets? Where do people care about this stuff the most? And the most obvious answers were then like the festivals, the nightclubs, the parties, and things of that nature. And so it started with one of our product managers just having friends who are DJs naturally. And we met this collective called AM Radio. It's mostly in LA. They are essentially a party organizer collective that will take over a coffee shop on a weekday, bring DJs there, and just invite their friends, put it on Instagram. And it's really to bring in people who might like music but don't drink, which is very common in the Gen Z audience these days. So we then partner with AM Radio, sponsor one of their parties, also work with their actual team to build out a profile. Then you get like the product managers to build out a feature on the app that will display their stuff, display all the DJs that are going to be playing at this festival or party. Then create content around that organically, then take it for paid. Then John's team will boost it. And then we test out different objectives between traffic, awareness, app installs, subs, all of that. In that testing, we actually found that content that just says, I finally made it to the hottest cafe party in LA. That one brought in cost pers that were about like 80% cheaper than anything else. And so a lot of it was just brand perception. You don't really know what's in there, right? You just have to try and figure out what people really do care about. And so from that party, we were able to get all this content and make creative that was both organic and sponsored and promotable, right? We then bookend that with like CRM, push notifications to that profile whenever they have a new drop. They can then sell their tickets to those events as well. And it's an exclusive thing that you have to be in the know about. And then you have the DJs themselves posting stories and driving people back to app as well. And with every step along this way, it was a lot of like coordinating intrinsically for me as like a marketing lead internally to just figure out how I can work with the social organic team, the product managers, the talent managers, the legal team, and all of that, just to make it work. And all at the same time, it's like me just throwing balls at John to juggle. um, and that was how I would say, like, in the past year, we found a niche that really worked. It was very surprising for us both. Yeah. That really is the end of our presentation. Here's our information again if you wanted to get in touch. But we also have no more time, I don't think.
Yeah, we're now technically over and the clock keeps jumping, so I think we're done. Feel free to chat with us in the back. We'll be around. We'll be here the rest of the week. So thank you so much.